Congratulations.
Thank you.
And Robin.
Big
you.
day.
Kent says thank you.
What's
Kent
that?
says thank you.
Yeah.
We're supposed to have a different party person. That may take a minute.
Yep.
There you go, ma'am. Keep up the good work. Okay, we've got a few minutes before our public hearing, so let's go ahead and clear off our action items if you don't mind.
True.
Robin, can you give us the budget meeting update,
I
please?
can. Council did the review for the fund balances as required. We discussed the supplemental income tax. We had 500,000, but they discussed that it was very conservative, that we should probably look for more than that. Then we also discussed the Hancock County Senior Services, and we're hoping that our portion will only be 150K. We're still in discussions with Greenfield, but we're hoping maybe the Health First can take some of that.
And they did agree to that,
Did they?
that they would help us in the, at least for 2025. And I spoke with Dan Riley. I told him that we would be more than happy to present everything at one of their council meetings, and he said, you know, the numbers of usage speak for themselves, so.
Right. Great. Thanks, Janine, that'd be great. And then we discussed the public defender, their office, and that their attorney, their top attorney, it's mandated that they make as much as our prosecutor, so we do have that. Dean Faulkning, his mowing, we decided to allow him to have $5,000 more for that, and I believe we took that out of food and beverage, correct, Mary?
We did.
Okay, and then we also discussed the GO bond and the CCD, that process, about maybe possibly doing another GO bond with that. We discussed the jail navigator. The money runs out in '25, so they discussed it'd be best to hire another one in 2024 and possibly using Health First for that. And then we discussed with the sheriff the new building that he needs, and that will be adjacent to the jail. And so they requested of the sheriff that he would let us know what his purpose for this building was, and that he would get a design for that so we could have a approximate price that that's gonna cost. And they discussed possibly using lit jail capital to build it, but I believe they discussed using the supplemental lit to use the money for the design, unless anybody else remembers something different.
That's how I remembered it.
And then with the health insurance, they instructed Kelly, our new HR director, to take $23,000 out of the reserve that day on May 1st and to put it in a regular fund because we were so short, correct?
Yes.
It was actually a motion for
50,000.
250,000.
Yeah.
Oh, it was 50? Okay.
She needed 20. She
Okay.
needed 23,000 that day, but
Okay.
we wanted to make sure she
Okay,
had plenty.
thank you. I appreciate all the help I can get. Thank you. Okay, that's all I've got. Does anybody else have anything that Jim discussed?
Just off, I can't remember what it was, but we were talking about that 2023 bond, I think, and there was $250,000 set aside for vehicles.
Mhm.
And Jim had said, hey, we'd like to see some other capital project since we can't use that. And the commissioners do have another capital project, and I can't remember what it was, but they were able to utilize some of that to pay some bills.
So we'll see that balance.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, great.
So, and
Okay.
it was used in place of that.
Was it maybe some work over at the old?
It was work somewhere.
Yeah,
but
I think it was over at the old jail.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe one night,
Oh.
they have the courthouse too.
Yeah, they got some problems over there, yeah. Okay. Well, thank you, Robin.
You're welcome.
Auditor business, none? Cross her off.
I move we approve the minutes.
Thank you.
17.
It's been moved and properly seconded that we approve the minutes for April 17th, 2024. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Same sign. And motion carries. Vernon Township Library appointment, that is off the board for right now. We'll hear that again next month. we do have a salary ordinance amendment for the prosecutor's office. Does anyone have any questions about that? That is where we agreed for 2024 to add an additional deputy prosecutor as well as a paralegal. So we'll go ahead and get that signed off on if you're ready.
The ordinance, 2024-5A,
Okay,
and they did designate them as a child support,
yes, good.
deputy prosecutor.
And some of that is reimbursable as well, I do believe, yes.
And we will need to do an additional appropriation
Okay.
as well for those funds.
Okay.
Okay.
I believe those will come from county general.
Okay. Well, we'll take a motion to approve County Ordinance 2024-5-A, amending the salary ordinance for the prosecuting attorney's office. All those in,
No, so moved.
thank you.
Or second, whatever you need.
And a second, please.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Same sign. Motion carries. Okay. And we also have a salary ordinance amendment for the health department. And,
We could give a thumbs up for the additional appropriation so that the next meeting,
do you want to do that now, or you want to
you have a, I mean, does it matter?
thumbs up for the additional,
For the
to advertise.
prosecutor's office? Yeah.
okay, thumbs up, everybody. Okay, Scott, we didn't see your, thank you.
Mhm.
Okay. Salary ordinance amendment for the health department. Does anyone have any questions on that one?
Would you like me to go over it real quick?
Yeah, if you
Yeah,
want to just read that out.
Okay, so, the commissioners did approve those positions on Monday. They also approved a title change for Crystal, the office manager, so she will now be considered a director.
And that, is that designated as, not
Exempt.
exempt? Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. So, the office manager will go to director, and then, her new salary is the $68,379. The environmental, health specialist, the three current positions will go to $62,000. And then the two new positions, which is the emergency preparedness coordinator, that's a new position that will start at $55,000, and then they hired, or they will hire another environmental health specialist at $62,000.
Okay.
That will be ordinance 2024-5E as in boy.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions, comments, or concerns? No? We would entertain a motion to approve that salary ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign, and motion carries. Right, moving right along. Board appointments for 2 Parks and Recreation. And is that in here?
Read that.
Yeah.
It's not in their packet, do they?
No.
No,
They
it's,
made recommendations to us.
they did. It was
Yeah, but
Miriam.
there's gonna be a problem. If you read the ordinance,
Yeah.
it says the members must be affiliated with different political parties.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, so we'll
So we need to
table that.
find out, what political parties they
Who
are
are
with.
gonna be our two?
Well, it depends. I think the commissioners may have messed up. Because the commissioners picked 2 people, and I don't think they looked at the 2 political parties. I know one's a Republican, because she ran as a Republican before. I'm not sure what
That,
Kayla's.
yeah, and I mean, that is in statute, but the statute was quoted in the ordinance.
Yeah.
I don't know, if, do you know if one of those?
I know
persons-
one is ran as a Republican in the past, like 4 or 6 years ago. The other one, I'm not sure.
And I don't know, so let's check that and put that down.
Because if one of them if they're both Republicans, we may wanna pick one of them. I mean,
Absolutely.
You have to pick one
Yeah.
from the other party.
Yeah, but I mean, I understand, but if they're both Republicans, we may wanna pick one of those 2.
Yeah, but to be the other party that have had to voted in the last 2 elections or something. it's
We're
not
never
just-
voted, just say I'm a libertarian or.
Yeah.
Well, I think it has to
Scott,
be
did you,
on
did
the.
you
record, doesn't
Has
it?
to be on the record to
No,
be part of the
they
party.
did for
We
us.
have it in our packet.
No, it was outside our packet.
Yeah, they should have just given you one.
Oh, I didn't get
I
that.
didn't get one.
Did you guys, did they not get one?
No,
Only me?
no, we just, when you were talking about it, I said, we have an ordinance, did you not get it? And you said you didn't, so we printed it for you.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
pass it
They
down
d-
if someone wants to see it.
Just printed it.
They're printing it for you right now.
So are we gonna loop that back to the commissioners then?
I think they may want to make sure they did it right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know, I wasn't aware whether, one of those was, my understanding was statute required, I thought they would know, but I don't know, like you said, it could be nuanced, I don't know.
Well, there's a specific requirement if you wanna run for office to be qualified for a political
Yes.
party. And I'm assuming then that should, same qualifications should apply. So that
And
person has to have voted X amount of times
Yeah.
and then, in either party to qualify. So they got, whoever they pick, they gotta pass out that,
Yeah.
We'll address it.
With Lisa.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll circle that back through the commissioners and then the council can discuss
I
their
don't think it's
appointments.
time sensitive that it.
No.
you know
We
what I
don't have
mean?
any parks
We
to
don't have any
oversee
parks
yet,
Yeah.
but,
They wanted to get the ordinance passed.
Right.
yeah,
Right,
there you go.
but I
Thank you.
don't think it matters if we do it
Mary's
this
gonna
month,
make
next month.
copies.
Yeah, we're getting copies.
We'll put that back on your,
Okay.
action items for next week.
Yeah, let's let the commissioners, visit that again first
I
and
think so.
go from there, so.
Well, I don't know.
Well, that was easy.
McLaren.
And if you guys do have any questions, Gary Cole's kind of heading that up too, just so you know.
Okay, good deal.
Democrat.
We've got two.
Parks and Recreation.
Today,
Check.
We don't find out. We don't find out.
was it a Teams
Democrats
meeting?
are
Well,
anti-growth, or anti-growth.
Okay, do you take Larry out?
Well, yeah, that's.
See if we need to
No,
just go
it's-
down to Mount, yeah, the parts that.
Yeah.
Is John Milburn, is he just across the hall?
Yes, would you like us to do that?
Yes, please. Well, how was your first as HR person, Kelly? How was your first week as HR?
It was great. Busy and fun.
Good.
We,
Did you fire anybody?
What
Did you fire anybody?
Not yet.
Oh, good.
We're gonna make it happen.
Did you hear the anticipation?
Is he on it?
Fun.
John's on it. Okay, okay.
Yeah, it'd be an impeachment, I think, or something.
I thought, I accepted a Teams meeting.
That's very smart of that job. Is that fire?
At Lily's, my brother-in-law has been a security downtown at Lily's for like 25 years. So they send him to tell people that are on, and they don't, a lot of times they don't know it ahead of time.
They just come and say, pick up your stuff, you
Yes,
got 5 minutes.
you got 5 minutes, they stand there by the desk.
A lot of companies do
He said
that.
it's brutal, so some
Yeah.
people are crying and screaming.
It'll come for you.
I had one of those that sobbed so much you could hear it outside. It's awful.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning, how you doing?
Good morning, John.
Thanks for coming over early.
Oh, no problem, no problem.
You need to talk about funding for GIS.
Yes, ma'am. Talk to you today about Esri's, as is our GIS software vendor, their local government enterprise agreement. Essentially, that would give us unlimited access to GIS software. It's kind of a flat fee for as many deployments of GIS software as we want. We can share that with anybody too within the counties, for example, other local governments. It was actually my discussions with Greenfield kind of led to me discussing this with you because as we had initially gone to the city of Greenfield, the price tag is a little bit too high for them, and it still is pretty expensive. But they allow for cost sharing, so we can share a cost with Greenfield, and they foot up like a third of it, essentially. So it'd be a little cheaper for us, and of course cheaper for them. And we can spread that also to other municipalities that don't have to necessarily cost sharing. We can share with McCordsville, New Palestine, and all the other municipalities as well. And save them some money, perhaps with the expectation 3 or 4 years down the road, they'll help us with cost sharing if they spreads out a bit. But essentially what it would give us the ability to do aside from that is essentially we could all maintain the similar databases or the same database if we wanted to, or share information from our databases with each other. That's pretty powerful in a lot of ways. I'll give you some examples here in a few minutes, but it would also give us, aside from that, a lot of web tools that we could use to publish things on the web. We already have Beacon that's very powerful. However, as I mentioned to you in the notes I sent, it's kind of separate from its own success because everybody wants something on Beacon, and it gets so full now. We have over 80 layers, and there are more people that want more stuff on there.
When you say they, are you talking about just counting once, or are the municipalities asking you to put stuff on there too?
There were some suggestions when my discussions with Greenfield, we could always try to combine it together, which is possible for cost savings, but on the other hand, we'd have well over 100 layers on there, and it gets really unwieldy.
Yeah, I would think you need to maybe come up and work with whomever, commissioners or whoever, about what we want to see on there, and not like you said, we don't need 100 layers of tabs on there. And I definitely think the municipality should be a pay-to-play kind of thing. If they're going to want some of their information on there, or they want access to information that's not public, then there should be a cost fee involved for them to
Right.
to access that information, because I know GIS is not cheap.
Do you agree with Mary's on pay-to-play?
I think for at least sharing the GIS software with them, I want to get them hooked on it and get it spread throughout their system. For example, McCordsville is growing very quickly. If we get them in it now, without charging them, and work with them, get them trained, then down the road, we can essentially ask for more money because they have more people using it. Right.
Are they paying anything at all right now?
Well, they already have contract with Esri for their own GIS software. I think I know that at least two, their planner and their engineer use GIS software, the same version we do. So if we provided that to them for free now and offered some offerings for like the online stuff and other deployments if they wanted that, that would set them up so in the make them more efficient in the future after our contract expires. Because the breakoff point is like at 100,000 population, it gets more expensive. It would cost like an additional like $29,000 a year, which is pretty hefty.
I don't know if this is a silly question, but would it be, would we be able to meet halfway maybe and have like the unincorporated areas included, and then pay to play in the municipalities like New Pal or McCordsville?
We could, I mean, it depends. Right now we could always ask, they have a certain maintenance they pay anyway. And I discussed that initially with McCordsville since they're the fastest growing. I don't think they have an issue contributing what they're already paying in maintenance.
Yeah, I know Corville and McCordsville both reference our county website to their residents when they're trying to look up things.
Mhm.
They'll say, check out, or they may even have a link to it on their town website. So they do use it in that sense that they're pushing the residents on to view it. So if they definitely, if they're interested in any layering, are you talking about utility layering, or what kind of layering are they looking at?
There are a couple of different ways as far as the layers go. For example, one thing that I think would be useful if we actually share information together and having everyone contribute together. We get a lot of calls, and I'm sure as you get at work, you kind of get around, we get a lot of calls from people that get maybe shifted from different departments or from different local governments like 3 or 4 times at least. So, and finally they get to where they need to talk to who they need to talk to. If we have all those different municipalities and some of the utilities contributing into our database, then I think we have the tools of the enterprise to actually have some kind of online tool we can create where you can internet address, and it gives you, this is the government I'm in, this is the utilities I have, all this kind of information that are useful to you so you know who to contact, and tile that to their websites. So we have kind of a centralized place for the public to go to get, okay, this is where I get my electric, this is the municipality I'm in. There's some confusion. I kind of brought a prop to show some of the confusion, I think, why we get so many misdirected calls. It's not really anyone's fault, but this is Greenfield. That's about 11,000 some odd people. But this red area over here is all the addresses that have this Greenfield zip code. So when someone gets their mail, they probably assume they live in Greenfield. So it says Greenfield, right? But no, you don't. Not all of them. There's like 8,000 different properties here, or addresses, that are outside actual Greenfield. They say Greenfield postal address. So I think a lot of times for local government, because of that miscommunication, kind of. It's not anyone's fault just how the zip postal code is, because this is where Greenfield Post Office delivers. But people don't really understand this, they just look at their mail. So Greenfield probably fields a lot of county calls initially, then they figure out eventually it needs to get to the county. Then they get to the county and maybe they get redirected a few more times because Joe Public may not know who he needs to actually contact. So I think we can create kind of an application that kind of helps mitigate that somewhat. I think that would be useful for the public and also just for government offices as well, because if Greenfield really want to field our calls, no, they probably don't. But when we can get people directed, then that would be beneficial to the public generally. I mean, some of those were actually in the town of Cumberland. I mean, because Greenfield actually goes out that far.
Absolutely, yeah.
I'm sure there might be people who think they live in Greenfield that actually live in Cumberland.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just the affordable of how things are. So trying to build out applications to kind of make it more efficient for us and a better experience for the public, because I mean, they think they're getting the runaround play if they get like transferred 4 or 5 times.
Do you think it would be cost savings in the long run?
I think in the long run,
Not immediate, but in the long run?
I think so, just because of the efficiency. There's a lot of things with the enterprise that actually help with like workflows internally as well. And also avoid confusing, for example, all right, I'm gonna pave the street, now my utility's gonna come in and dig it all up again, so we didn't really coordinate. I mean, there's things like that kind of create efficiencies that way, and just basic communication between us and municipalities.
I don't think it's unreasonable
I don't
to
either.
ask them
Either.
to continue to pay what they're currently paying out of their budget to get mixed into the whole system. I don't, you know.
Right. But they would
I
pay
wouldn't
that
wanna do
to
it for
us,
them.
right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, or, yeah, to the whole system, so
Yeah.
that the system is a whole, not their system and our system.
Right.
You know, and in the future, it may, the portion that they pay may not keep up with the other, but initially, that's not the worry.
And then
Are
who
you-
would govern it? Your office?
It would have to be through us.
It would be,
Contracts with us.
Yes.
the contract would be through
The
Yeah.
commissioners, yeah.
commissioners,
Yeah.
so.
Did you address the commissioners?
I've talked to Commissioner Spalding about it, and I think he wants to get me on the agenda for the 21st.
Okay. Well, I think we should do that, let you pass that by the commissioners.
What's the total cost to the county if nobody participates?
If nobody participates,
Is
would
it
be pretty
50,000?
steep.
What is it a year?
it would be,
And he's talking just off, are we still flying the county every 2 years?
yes, we are.
Yes, and that's where the big chunk comes in to play, is that fly.
And that's all
There's
included
other-
then,
there's
right?
other
That's
offices
just totally
that they're
separate.
paying.
Yeah,
Well,
and that's a whole
It's a
separate
Yeah.
price tag, but it's important to
Well,
stay
that
on.
county changes every 2 years, our county does dramatically.
Yeah, that's why it's important to do it every 2 years. There's some counties that probably don't fly as often, but the changes are.
There is a
such
competitor called Nearmap that's cheaper than Pictometry, but we'd also lose all that historic information that so it's kind of a tough call.
Yeah, the historic information I think is a big deal.
Yeah.
And the last time we did a flyover was just last year, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
And I did get a quote from Nearmap just in case people do want to do things every year, if there's that much growth, it would be like $25,000 for a new updated aerial photo.
Okay.
So I have a question. I'll maybe have a question. If let's say New Palestine didn't, or any town that's not participating, give you money, if they don't participate, is there a way then to lock that land out of the GIS, and so they got their own system? And so then we would only cover the rest? That would also decrease the population numbers if we hit 100,000 as fast. Is that a possibility, or?
I think Esri just does it by total we just do it by county population period.
So they won't do it, okay, well, that part.
We
okay,
couldn't really
but
exclude it out.
they won't exclude out, say, hey, they're not paying, we don't want them in our system, they've got their own, people have to go to New Pal's website to find out all the stuff you find out in GIS.
I think one of the strengths really of the enterprise agreement is kind of that collaboration and kind of getting people kind of on the same page. So I mean, New Pal does contract out with, I think, Silversmith for the GIS. I did talk to their town manager. They spend about maybe $8,000 a year just to get the basic things they have. So I mean, they would possibly be willing to partner.
Oh, so if we said, hey, if you guys give us like 7 of the 8 and save yourself $1,000.
We could discuss that, so the town manager seemed open to discussion.
There is a way to break it out, though. I mean, Beacon breaks it out. So if you go to Beacon, to Hancock County Beacon,
Right.
and you wanna go across the street and it's not Hancock County, it's not there.
No, it's not there.
And you
have to
can't
go to
get
their-
there.
You have to go to their counties.
You have to go to their
It's a different one you go to.
yeah.
And not all
If they're-
counties
And
participate.
if they're not in,
Not all
if they're not in
counties.
Beacon, you
Yep,
can't
yep,
find it.
Yep.
Well, if they don't contract with Schneider,
Yeah.
Yeah.
is the big.
Right.
And I can tell you, 'cause as an attorney, sometimes I need to look at who owns this property.
Yeah, you
and so
can,
I-
yeah.
I have to figure out what they use.
I've looked up
I-
information on other
it-
counties, and I'm
it's a pain
praying
for
that
me
they,
to too,
they
because
contract with
it's right over
Schneider,
the
line,
because
and I can't
it's so
get
easy
this.
to
It's very user
manipulate
friendly.
around.
That's why I've never, IT has sometimes suggested, we can save money, we go, no, please don't do that.
Yeah, Hamilton
We wanna
County
save
built
money.
their own, and it's awful to get around on.
Oh,
Their
yes.
employees probably know, but as just a user, friendly site, it's difficult.
We save a lot of money contracting with Schneider for that, because we even start up our own, we just have to hire someone to maintain it, and at least with the EA, we can stand up things pretty easy without having to have a specialist, because it kind
I
of,
think the council, and I'm just speaking generally for myself, but everyone that, we're very supportive of keeping it current. I think we'd all like to see the municipalities participate and help with some of the funding. As far as blocking things out, I think the only thing that we would do or could do is, if they don't wanna, contribute, you can't see their utilities, or you can't see certain things, that's a layer.
Yes,
the
layer
You'll see the
things.
basic
Mhm.
Beacon, Schneider build out
But no
recommendations,
layers,
but not the layering too much.
Yeah.
if you wanna do something like that, one possibility, since there's a lot of growth, utilities will not hook up utilities to new development if they don't see an address on Beacon. So one thing I've done is add an address point layer on there, because we're not gonna process parcels as fast as they want. The address point information gets updated into 911, so it gets updated right away. So I could always, if they don't wanna play, remove that and say, I'm sorry.
I
You have to wait.
can't imagine we have that bad a relationship with
Yeah.
New Palestine and them that.
From a court.
from
I
a
think-
course
I
that
think
we
we
could
have a
go
good
play.
relationship.
I think it's
It's
just
not
whether
that big
or
of
not
money.
they think they have to,
Right.
they have to participate.
Yeah.
Well, and is it compatible together, Enterprise and Beacon?
They can pull it, yeah, it's the same vendor essentially. Measure's the same, they're using, it'll be fine.
Well, let's,
But the commissioners won't have to activate the contracts and all
contract,
that,
so let's
they'll
have you go to
they'll
the
have through their-
commissioners.
One thing I do wanna mention though, our annual maintenance for our we have a bunch of single-use licenses we use now, like 15. Those are all maintenances due at the end of this month,
Oh.
so I don't know,
Do you have,
we don't necessarily wanna pay
did you
that.
have it budgeted for?
It's budgeted for, but on the other hand, if you wanna pay for it and then go to enterprise, which essentially negates the entire thing, it's like 13,000.
When's the next commissioners meeting? A week from
21st.
Monday?
Yeah, you better if it's budgeted for it already, you better let them decide if you make that
Yeah.
payment or not.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's probably a good idea.
yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay.
No, yeah, they can, if the money's already there,
We're-
they can
we're
decide
safe.
whether
Yeah.
you make action or not.
Yeah.
You were on tomorrow's agenda also,
For RDC,
yeah. Is it something different or?
it's essentially funding the same thing. I didn't
Yeah,
have any-
okay, cause I don't know, is there contracts involved? Cause I don't know if RDC carries any contracts like that, see, it still would
Okay.
come to the commissioners.
Okay. I
I'm
can
not
talk to
sure
Cindy
to
and get
RDC.
taken off if it's an issue.
Yeah, I need to find out, cause we generally don't have, the RDC generally doesn't have contracts for that type of stuff.
You just would fund it if
You just
possible.
fund it if the,
So it's
if
kinda
the
the same
physical bodies
scenario.
wanted to be funded in that area or
Just
whatever.
like us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
get it to the commissioners.
Yeah, the commissioners carry the paper.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for coming
Thanks,
over
John.
early
Oh, no
too.
problem.
Thanks,
Yeah,
John.
Thanks.
All righty. Moving right along,
9 o'clock.
it is 9:00. Oops, I lost my agenda. There it is. Okay, we have our public hearing with some additional appropriations, so we'll go ahead and open the public hearing. This one will be regarding Fund 1237 opioid restricted. Appropriate the remaining cash in that account at $392,812.48. Is there anyone that cares to comment on that? Seeing there is no comment, We'll close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we appropriate the remaining cash balance in Fund 1237 opioid restricted in the amount of $392,812.48.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, same sign. And motion carries. Okay. We'll go ahead and open up our public hearing again regarding Fund 1238 opioid non-restricted for the highway project in the amount of $153,052.92. Is there any comments?
Yes, yeah, I think I accidentally put the wrong thing. That should just be appropriate remaining cash.
Appropriate remaining cash. Okay, so we will go back again and just for the record, Fund 1238 opioid non-restricted, we are going to appropriate the remaining cash balance of $153,052.92. Is there any comments on that? Seeing there is none, we'll close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to appropriate the additional remaining balance of Fund 1238 opioid non-restricted in the amount of $153,052.92.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Mary No and seconded by Kent. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Same sign. Motion carries. We'll open up our public hearing regarding Fund 4021 regarding the Solid Waste Management District, and that is for the highway project?
No.
Okay.
None of those are.
Is that remaining cash?
Yes.
Okay. All right, we will open up our public hearing to discuss Fund 4021, Solid Waste Management District regarding the appropriation of remaining balance of cash in the amount of $2,983.65.
I'll
Is
make
there?
a- Oh, I'm sorry.
it's-
We've got
Hey, I might wanna
We're
ask
still
a
in
question,
the-
why we're not giving this to the highway?
Gary's probably bumming right now.
He probably is bumming.
You gotta
Is
wait
there
till
any
June.
comment? Seeing there is none, we'll close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
Okay, you want me to do it now?
Yes.
Fund 4021, Solid Waste Management District, $2,983.65, the remaining cash.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Robin and seconded by Kent that we appropriate Fund 4021 in the amount of $2,983.65, which is our remaining cash balance. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay. We will open our public hearing regarding Fund 7201, which is our food and beverage account, to replenish our appropriated cash in the amount of $250,000. Is there any comments or concerns?
Has this money been spent yet, any of this?
A little.
Or is it going to be spent? It's already.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's earmarked.
Earmarked.
Earmarked, I should say
Yeah,
spent.
yeah.
Yeah,
You
we
can't
can
spend it
with
until it's
the
appropriated.
That's right.
proper process.
So how much is this earmarked?
No, let's make that clear, no, none of
can't
it's been
increase it.
spent.
I think it was for the weed
Oh,
board.
the weed board,
And
yeah.
there was something else.
There was something else, but it was a very small
Yeah.
Okay,
amount.
I just wanted to make sure we still gonna have like round 250.
Yeah,
We need to do an appropriation.
Right, right. So is there any other comments? Okay, we'll close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion for Fund 7201, food and beverage, and that's to replenish it for $250,000.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Robin and seconded by Scott that we approve Fund 7201, food and beverage replenishment of monies of $250,000. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Same sign. Motion carries. We'll open our public hearing regarding Fund 9110, Nine Star Community Trust Grant in the amount of $2,000, which is awarded to Community Corrections. We'll go ahead and take any public comment if there is any. Seeing there is none, we will go ahead and close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
So moved.
Is there a second?
You're not supposed to do that.
Second.
The record Deb's asked us before to read it out, just for the clarification.
It's not enough money.
There you go.
All right, I'll second 19110 Star Community Trust grant for community corrections grant $2,000. Kent, motion.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you, Scott.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
So we have a $392,000 appropriation and a $2,000 appropriation.
Yeah, that's how it works.
That's how it works. I guess.
Wow, wow, wow.
You could have said no. You could have voted no. I mean, I'm not gonna vote
If
no
it
for
had-
9 Star giving money. I mean,
If it had been $15, I might have.
I'm gonna give $15 grant. So we can know.
It's not enough. It's only $2,000. Don't you know, 9 Star?
I'll take you two out to the woodshed.
Oh, someone put a bad word on my agenda.
Oh, goodness. Does anyone need a break? We've got plenty of time.
Yes.
Or does anyone have any business that
What's
they
the
need
budget
to
package?
This is the
discuss?
budget package.
What all the department heads are gonna be
What, honey?
getting.
Oh,
Oh,
tell me about
okay, I was
it.
gonna say, there's not enough information on here for me. This is the budget packet.
There you go.
Well, the
You
second
don't
page
have
is
to
that
vote.
this replaces your budget books this year.
That's
Man,
gonna,
we're gonna have tough decisions.
that's gonna be a quick meeting.
We're about lunch now.
Yeah.
Did you send email out?
I, just as
So,
a,
and other department heads and elected officials are gonna be coming in at 10,
Oh.
so that Mary can go over that process with them. So that's what this is about.
Oh.
yeah,
We gotta stay, so we might as well take a break.
might as well take a break, go out and run around the building, get our energy back.
Yeah. Might go upstairs.
Oh, for heaven's sakes.
No, yeah.
There's a reason why.
They'll go over the raise part. You guys can tell them their raises and stuff like that.
They can actually read these before they sign it.
No.
Everybody does. So we're taking a break?
I think so.
I'll tell them the raises
All
are
right,
still
let's take a break.
speculative.
Okay, Catherine.
Everything's still speculative at this moment, but this is what. The big-
See if I need a bit.
I'll take one.
Throw it, Mary, throw it.
You want me to?
Yeah, right here. We'll see if I can catch it. We'll see if I can catch it.
Oh, that was pretty bad.
Just try not to hit.
It's okay.
It's okay.
I think Kid deserves that.
Yeah.
I do too. He was being difficult.
Kid, would you like one?
We're on YouTube
Huh?
TV.
Yes,
Mary,
please.
are you going upstairs? I am. I don't think I need more coffee.
Hey, you guys think I'm bad? There's
Well,
someone
me
else
neither,
coming.
'cause-
I think I'm done with the coffee.
Hey,
I
you think
never,
I'm
I
bad?
never
There's someone
played
else
softball,
coming.
can you tell?
Pardon me?
About what, 6, 7 months? There's someone else coming. That would be worse than me.
Well, I may take care of that before January.
I won't be the only one then.
She and Danielle are going to change.
She's gonna leave.
We got too much money.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, I can't run you guys to hang on for money.
So the sheriff.
Jim Shelby worked hard for me.
I already, hey, you know what I already told Deb to do? I'm sending.
You got him trained now, don't you?
Yeah, we did. Scott said, I don't wanna be on the inside. Okay, we'll move it down. We'll put him next to Deborah, so, cause Deborah
You'll
just
probably
sitting next to
you'll
me.
probably be the next president.
But, we'll see, but, yeah, I know.
Oh, God, that'll
If he
show.
shows. I know, I don't know. That's what I said, I don't know.
Is this where your trash goes?
Huh? Oh, I'm tired. You know,
On cement.
I hurt my shoulder a couple months ago, and the orthopedic guy said it wasn't bad enough to surgery. But yesterday, standing on the cement, apparently my muscles at the end of the day, you know, I mean, it was hard on them because my shoulder hurt me all morning last night.
Mine, I got shoulder, but
Well,
they
I-
did therapy on me and they said, you know,
Held that sign too, you know?
Yes,
And
yes. Yeah.
I think that's what did it. Well, it's,
I think the commissioners did appoint somebody that's a Democrat.
Did they?
Yeah, I was just checking.
according to the statute, there's 2 from us and 2 from them.
And you guys have to do that.
We have to do 2.
Yeah. and
One from each
different
party.
parties, yeah.
And are they wanting 2 people appointed that aren't elected officials?
They cannot be elected officials.
I don't know a lot of Democrats. All the Democrats I know are too old.
Well,
My
they
uncle was a
mentioned-
Democrat and Billings is a Democrat. All they're way too
It's
old.
hard to find.
They mentioned Keeley, and she is now, but she won't be, so we can't appoint her now then.
She's now, but she won't be.
She won't be an elected
After
official.
the end of the year.
So when's this going into effect? Soon.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
so-
a million dollar question. It might take a little longer than that.
We've got that, in that on our agenda tomorrow, something about that.
The GIS was on there.
No, it-
Well, parks is Gary's going to talk about the parks, so that might be.
I was gonna ask you something. You're on the RDC.
Me and Robin.
We should talk about that.
Okay.
I just bought a cousin tall and skinny and it's in mine. Yeah, I just like the size of it. Yeah, I need, yeah, I need that. Well, I asked them to come down when I was in the assessor's office one day and they were in your office and I was just looking at that.
She said we could buy the machine, we just can't put it on. That's the application. Exclusive, you have to have a question.
You have from the hospital?
Yeah, that's good. Mine doesn't cook anymore. I can pull his down.
Well, that's all kind of, you got a long thumb? I mean, that'd be kind of hard to, yeah.
How are you?
I'm doing fine, I'm doing fine.
Everybody get to bed early enough?
I stood, I don't know why, I think it's a nervous Nelly thing, but I worked for Keeley yesterday in Pendleton at the library, and I stood the whole time, the whole day. And I couldn't wait to get off my feet. When I got home, it was just like, give me my chair, and then we drove over to Janine's, well, she had a little get-together. It is, I'm done, I'm not running again. just make myself get through the next 2.5 years.
You have to get through
These just need to calm down, slow down, like. All the people from Rise who's running the big one, and they were on the agenda. They just didn't call, the lady didn't call, and I felt bad. I don't know where these men are driving or coming from, and they're at work, and
When you get on the agenda.
yeah, somebody needs to confirm or something, but.
But that's on them.
Yeah, it is, or, just, whoever their contact is through here. And Deb said no one ever contacted her office and asked her to get RISC, and they're wanting to build, a building down in Hancock, and it's a unique building per se. What they do is they build this building that will have frontage of office space to rent, and then it's county. It's in the county, and then behind the office space is the ability to have warehousing or whatever they want to use it for. Well, typically economic development, especially the abatement application has to go through. They submitted the abatement application, so if they're, at that point, I would have thought they've already rounded through you guys.
The name sounds familiar, but like, I don't remember.
And then they do it in a capital, RISE, RISE, and then there's a little bit more to the name, but basically RISE.
Oh, the way that was.
Well, next month, if they come back.
looking yesterday,
No, it's,
because I never respond to those people anyway.
I didn't respond, but I just.
Let's reconvene, folks. He needs to stay home. We're going to reconvene, if you would, please. Got to hand this gavel off.
We're gonna get her a styrofoam mallet so that when she spins it, nobody can hear it.
As we reconvene, Sheriff wasn't here when we talked about the financing and his new building. Could we, Mary, kind of go through your notes as to what we discussed regarding, do you?
The budget review, sir?
Oh,
I don't have my notes down here with me.
oh, okay. Robin.
Oh.
Robin had the notes.
Okay.
Okay, let's go with Robin.
Do we have to?
Well, I just discussed about your new sheriff building, that we, discussed that number one, we would like for you wanna come up here? So you can correct me? I want you to be able to do it in the microphone.
Correct you in the microphone?
Yeah, correct what I say. Well, we just discussed that it was gonna be adjacent to the jail, and that number one, we asked you to define the purpose of the jail, exactly what it's gonna be and what your needs were for it. And then also, we discussed that we would like for you to, hire someone to, design it so that we have an idea of what the cost is gonna be, correct? And did they talk about, possibly using the supplemental lit
That
to
was
pay for
in
that?
the budget committee, yes.
Right,
Yep.
okay. And we also discussed something about, might be using the lit jail capital
Yes,
to build it.
yes.
Was there anything else that we discussed on that?
I think there was discussion at the end that said we need to go and talk to the commissioners to
Oh, yeah.
see whether or not they could use that,
Yeah,
that fund
okay,
to increase that amount
Yeah.
to the
Well,
2 million.
And what, question for Brad, is that Brad's position, or is that our position to go to the commissioners on that?
You would probably make a recommendation to the commissioners that you do support and would find the funds for that.
Okay, so we can make that phone call now. Okay.
I just didn't know, hey, I need, obviously get on the agenda myself or have somebody come, but I just don't know how that conversation needed to take place.
yeah, I remember you and I talked about, I think afterwards or something about, bouncing back and forth between the,
The
Yeah.
two, and that's, it
Yeah.
does get, I'm happy to come to the commissioners' meeting if we could have it earlier on the agenda, like maybe at 9 o'clock, whenever he comes forward on that.
I think Sarah said it's completely full.
If you wanna make a motion that you're gonna make a recommendation, then we can put it on auditor business and.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay,
Okay, we can do
then
that.
let's do
That
that.
meeting?
No, I'm happy to, but if, yeah,
Will you just make a motion?
I don't
that
think
you-
Okay.
you need to. I think you can convey it now and get to them.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's, is there any discussion on that again for the second time around? No? Well, I would entertain a motion that we send Brad's request for his new building to, with a favorable recommendation to the county commissioners.
okay, I'll make that motion, that we send Brad to the commissioners about this building and that we make a favorable recommendation.
I'll
That
second
cover it?
that.
Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and so then I need to, I'm not on the agenda, so
You'll be here.
I'll be here.
You'll be
So if they
here.
ask a question, 'cause
You
I
use
just,
my auditor business if you need
Okay,
to.
everything's gotta go through them to start with.
so basically, the question is, we got a favorable, is to do it, and then one is to be able to utilize funding sources through the,
Yeah, I think
Either
Greg
or.
agreed to that
Mhm.
when we were here
Yeah.
last week, yeah.
and that's at 1, 2.
Yeah, they talked
that's at
about-
Jail
Yep.
lit fund.
Yep.
Yeah, they were
Yeah,
talking
you
about
might
the.
see that in the motion, that those two funds were part of our recommendation.
Our
Yeah.
discussion.
At least what I got was the supplemental lit for the design, and then possibly the lit jail capital for the building, to build it.
We
Okay,
do
'cause-
have a real healthy balance of cash there, so we need to start spending.
Because I know this, I know there was some money set aside out of the, whatever bonds, one of the bonds.
The 2023 go bond.
2023
There's a $500,000.
It was $500,000 that was kind of set aside for the,
Yep.
that piece too. And so
Yep.
I don't know if I'm confused, or, there was also some discussion on paying the design work out of that,
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
it was, we didn't get real specific on it, I
Yeah.
don't.
Well, what it means is there's current funds
Possibly.
available.
So either way, I mean, maybe I
You're
guess
good
that's
to
your
go.
guys' decision, I
Yes.
suppose, on the funding piece of it.
Right.
Which one to take it out of.
We just let them know that we have some ideas on where to get the
Okay.
money.
Also, the 250,000 for the vehicles was available for that also, but I think they said earlier, the commissioners have earmarked that for something else.
They have.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know.
what
You
I,
gotta talk to
I
them. I don't know if that was
understand as well.
all of it or whatever, but it must be part of some other renovation or something.
Yeah, I'm not sure it was all of it, but they did earmark some of it.
Some of it,
I believe.
but what's left can,
Did we have that conversation this morning?
Utilize some of that 250 to pay some of their bills from their last meeting.
That's
for
what-
capital
yeah.
projects, but I can't remember
Okay.
An exact amount?
I have to look at my notes, but.
I know my 2023 vehicles, they got 330.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
they would pay
Basically-
that capital out of, they would pay a lease out of the bonds.
Right.
So
Yes.
they had set aside
Yes.
250, I think, what I thought it was, but I,
No, but his actuals for 2025 is 330.
yeah.
For 25 cars.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And they're all leases, it's a lease.
Right. Okay,
Okay.
thanks, Brad.
That gives me the
Are you
look.
clear as mud?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what, Brad, if you want to come in and sit down and talk to Mary, make sure you've got an idea on where all that money is and how much it is.
Okay.
So that we can make a recommendation, that'd be probably a good
Okay.
idea.
Yeah. All right, could do that. Thank you, appreciate it.
All right, we have tourism here, and Jane has agreed to join us this morning too, so that we can all be on singing from the same hymnal when it comes to distribution of your funds, so that we are, have everything, all of our ducks in a row. So come on forward if you would.
Well, I'll make this brief.
Okay.
Well, first of all, good morning all.
Good morning.
Thanks for allowing us to come in this morning. I was asked to come in this morning and discuss with you a couple concerns we have in tourism. They're really related to what's up and coming more than what's going on right now. But we have had some issues starting in 2024 with receiving our monthly taxes collected from the county to tourism. And we being, Bridget had made a couple phone calls and trying to figure out what was going on. And I think that basically what we have determined is there's a new person now has that responsibility to make sure that that's being taken care of each month. And there's been just, I think, a little bit of frustration on both sides, maybe not an understanding of how it works and so forth. So I had contacted the auditor's office, which in the past, the commissioners have told us anytime we have an issue, that's where we should start. So I did that. It concerns me that the process right now is very simple, but it's going to become very complex in the near future. So basically, the 5% tax from the hotels comes into the treasurer's office. The hotels have until the 20th of the following month after collection to get that in. And the way the process has worked in the past is that since 2019, until the Airbnb money started coming in. The process would be that a little bit after the 20th, normally around the 22nd of each month, we would receive that 5% tax collection minus the executive director's salary and benefits. And that would come to us on a pretty regular basis. I mean, you could pretty much count around the 22nd, we were going to get that. Once the Airbnb tax was being collected, that was collected by the state. It goes to the state, and then the state via EFT sends that money to the county each month, usually about the first week of the month after the month collected. So at that point in time, that the date or the time frame that we were getting the checks changed. The person handling that in the past had said, well, I don't want to cut checks twice a month. So when the EFT comes in, I'm just going to also cut the check for the whatever's in that tourism fund. So 7304 tourism fund, the money comes in there, and then and basically the way it's always worked in the past is whatever's there, that's what we send. Now we were told initially when we started asking some questions this year that the money couldn't be released until all of the tax money was collected from the hotels. And at that point in time, there were a hotel or two that were delinquent. And we were told that the state had been contacted to make sure it was okay to release the money even if there was a delinquent hotel. I guess they were told, yes, that's fine. So the process really, for the most part, is pretty simple. And we just are we're now getting checks. I also want to state that I did send an email to the president of the council, president of the commissioners, the auditor and the treasurer asking for a meeting, if we could come in and sit down and discuss this so that we understand what's going on and that the process is well documented and going to work well going forward. The primary reason that we have become concerned is because of the up and coming bond supporting the convention center. This process is going to become a little more complex at that time, because what's going to have to take place is, first of all, the hotel being built at Gateway will have to have that 5% separated from the other hotels. And it will sit there for 6 months, and then when the bond comes due twice a year, that money is going to have to then be utilized to pay that bond that was collected from that new hotel. So at that point in time, if it is under, there's not enough money there, then the county will go to the developer or the operator, and they have agreed to pay anything that's under. If it is over, then at that point in time, that overage would then be released to tourism. Now, in the first year, possibly even going into the second year, tourism may not be receiving funds, but after that point, we definitely should, and hoping that it will be a good amount. But I just threw a little bit of a flag in the air, because if it's difficult now, it's going to become a little more challenging, and I just want to make sure that all of us, the county and tourism, are on the same page, and that we understand how the process is going to work. As we move forward over the next couple of months or so, and I assume they start working on the bond piece, there's going to be a lot of questions, and I just don't want anything to pop up that says, well, there's a concern here, it doesn't look like something's working right. So that's just what we're after. Now, in Jane's defense, I've not met with her yet. We have, Bridget has spoke to her, but not trying to cause any kind of hard feelings here or anything else. We just want to make sure that we all understand the importance of how this works going forward. Now, the other piece for me is we're spending a lot of money right now. We have already, in this first and second quarter, we've already released more grant money than we ever have. We're spending a lot of money this year. We're getting close to $400,000 already. So in 2023, I realized there was an opportunity for us to improve a revenue stream, and that would be interest. And so we switched banks, and I negotiated a 6-month trial or a new account set up where we were receiving a very good interest rate. And when that exhausted, we even got a little bit better with one now. But the bottom line, what I've done is created 2 checking accounts. One is an operational account. The other is a money market account, and that money market right now is earning right at 5%. So I don't like to have to pull from there to put money into operating, and lose that interest. But that changed last year, netted us almost $30,000 in interest, which would have been less than half of that had we not made the change. So that's my other concern, is that it's a little bit difficult to budget right now, because I have an expectation of utilizing 7 years of history to get an example, or at least a thought of what we may be receiving in revenue each month. And when you go a couple months and you don't have that, well, then I had to start pulling from the money market.
Well, but Bob, the money market is not, that's not our focus for the tourism, for it to save money and make money on interest. You know what I mean? So if you take money out of a savings account for the tourism to actually use it like you're supposed to in tourism, that's fine. I mean, the government isn't we're not here to make money. You know what I'm saying? We're not here to make money on the excess money we're not using in tourism. If you have projects that need to be done, that's fine if you have to pull money from your savings. We don't want you to be negative. I mean, but that's my opinion, is I don't think the government is a business here to make money.
Well, first of all, that's not what I said. I didn't say I was
Okay.
concerned that, I'm not saying I don't want to do it.
Right.
But I'm saying that in budgeting,
Yeah.
I have an expectation of how much we're gonna get each month.
Yeah.
If it isn't there, yes, I'll go pull from there, I'll do that. That's not a problem, I'm not saying it is a problem, and I
Yeah.
disagree a little bit that if we have an opportunity to earn interest, we should.
We should if there's no other purpose for the income.
But we have not said no to anybody that can
Right.
ask for money.
So you're doing good.
You, more than anybody, should know that for what we've done for the
Yeah, no,
fairgrounds.
you're
We
doing
gave them
good.
a lot of money this
I
year.
just
Okay.
didn't want you to be disenchanted if you had to lose some of that
Oh, no, I'm not.
interest-bearing money.
It's
Yeah.
business for me. It's
Right.
business, strictly business.
Yeah.
So your main concern is that your draws are not coming in as they have in the past?
That's the concern, absolutely,
And,
yeah. And so I just want to understand why that is.
We went
Rains a
2
bunch.
months almost without receiving any checks.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
yeah, I thought you were just talking about days or weeks.
No, no,
I'm
no,
like,
no,
why
there-
are we complaining about that? I'm like, it's a little
Well,
slow, okay.
and there's a lot of details here I am not sharing. I don't think
Okay.
this
Is
is the
that a
correct forum to
coordination
do that.
between
But what we wanted,
internally here, or is that a state problem?
Oh, it's not a state problem at all.
Not a state
The
problem.
tourism is the one that dictates that the process
Yeah.
for that distribution. And Jane can speak to that because she's the one that works. I said, the state's the one that mandates that process.
When he's done, I'd like to present what I can see.
sure, absolutely. Is it a good time for Jane to approach?
No, that's fine, yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
come on up, Jane. Thank you.
There's several factors that contribute to different things. So my main concern is before we walk out of here, I need to know what you hope to have or what you need so we can go forward, because I have a real concern also of what's coming down the pike with those
Well,
payments,
and
so.
Jane, that I've never even met you, I hate this, but, the bottom line, you have offered to meet, and I want to make that clear, and I still think we should have that meeting.
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
He's hit on several points, but I want you all to know, we pay a month behind. In November, December, January, and February, we had 3 hotels that did not pay us. We're at their mercy, and I will explain what I did. The former first deputy paid December 21st, and even though we didn't have that money, she went ahead and paid. And like he said, I have a new deputy, and she took over, and she didn't pay January or February, so she wasn't sure if we could pay all that with not having the money received from these other hotels. We contacted the state and found out you can, so then the state tourism. And so we waited on that money to come in, and then we went ahead and paid them. We heard back from the state in February what was okay to pay, and we sent a claim to the auditor's office, and then the auditor's office paid the claim through a regular claim process instead of paying it through utilities. So when they called back again, the tourism, we asked them why it took so long. And we were told this was done in error, which resulted in another 4 weeks delay. So that's another reason. There's several factors that come into here. We distributed the checks on 3/6, 3/14, and 3/21. During this time, we made numerous phone calls, emails, letters to the hotels in question. I contacted Scott on February 28th, and he told me I needed to go to the prosecutor. So we sent out one last email and told them that if we didn't hear from them by the end of the day, we'd turn it over to the prosecutor. We got, within an hour and a half, a call back from the owner. Somebody had contacted him, and we do have his phone number now, and we receipted the money in the following Monday. The person that we used to have contact with those 3 hotels is no longer employed with them, so I don't know what happened. I've contacted, I know Mr. Massey has asked for different things from our office, and I contacted Andy at the Indiana Department of Revenue regarding what I could disclose and can't disclose. He's a compliance officer and told me that we cannot disclose other hotels' information because this would be closing their income, which is private, and he gave me a code of IC 4-2-6-8 and told me that if someone wants it to break it down by hotel, you would have to go through the Department of Revenue and go through one of those guys. So the salary benefits amounts come from the auditor's office. I know you had asked for those to be broken down in our monthly income. We have the total for the month that we collected, less payroll, and then the amount to tourism, and then down at the bottom is also the VRB and the Verbo money that you get in. So my only other option that I'm looking into with all this going over is turning this over to the state like most of the counties do. That would be another option. It's easier to keep it here because they don't break things down. We would never know who was late or anything like that. So, but I did print out an innkeeper's tax collection form that anybody wants. I know the gentleman that's usually at the George usually comes up and gets one monthly. So, any more questions for me?
I do, actually, I have a comment and a question both. So for me, I don't see the council being too involved in working out your problem with the tourism. I'm hoping you can come to an agreement. But my question is, if you can and have the ability to pay monies collected, even though you haven't collected 100% of the innkeepers, so you're holding the monies that you have collected until you get all of it?
Well, they have to get it to us by the 20th.
But let's say 2 of them don't. You don't go ahead and distribute what you have?
No, we didn't know if we could or couldn't. It was an error.
And now they know they
And now
can.
we know we
So
can, so
going
we did.
forward,
As soon
you
as we
will-
knew, we got him a check.
So
Okay.
going
Mhm.
forward, that
My new
problem's been
deputy
corrected.
did not know that, and
Yeah.
when she came to me, we went to the state, and that's what happened. There were several things that happened this time, so that's what I was trying to explain. I'm not airing anything out, I'm just telling
Sure.
you what happened.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Jane.
I would also add that the office got with me, we sent quite a few letters out when there was delinquent innkeeper's tax, especially it's kind of happened during the pandemic too, after that. And as I understood, most of those guys paid at that point, based on those letters.
Yes,
Yeah.
but they usually respond. They usually respond right away.
Yeah, so, I mean,
Going
This happened to
forward,
be the 3 biggest hotels.
yeah.
in other words, I went ahead and did that, I didn't just say, call the prosecutor. I
Well,
tried to
it
see
means
if I
that you
could
can't
force.
distribute what you don't have, but you can go ahead and distribute
What
what
you
you
do
do
Yes,
have.
and that's
And I
what
think
we're
that's
doing
where
now.
the breakdown was, and appreciate you so much coming in here and
No problem.
outlining all that, and then as because, you know, when I look at the bonds that we'll be approaching with, the best thing that's probably happened to Hancock County in a long time, we don't want any trip-ups when it comes to bond payments and things like that, you know, so now we've got an idea of what you both need, treasurer's office and tourism, and then if you folks can get together and kind of outline your day-to-day and what will happen throughout this process once,
And as I always tell the auditor, I need 72 hours notice before I send something out. Because if we have to transfer something, if it's in ACH, it's different, if it's,
Send out money.
money.
if it's an ACH, it's different, if it's, a wire, it's different. And of course, there are costs involved in that, to do all that also, so that would be coming off.
Has the
The treasurer.
treasurer office always done that in the past, or has the state done something new, or have they always just distributed?
Well, my understanding,
the money?
Debbie told me once, we were, Hancock was an example for everybody for the state on how we handle this. Because when you go to the state, they can't break things down for you. We just get a lump sum. We would never know who was late, but because of the way we handle it and divide it, we know exactly what's going on.
Yeah, our
Wi-
tourism department was utilized at an auditor's training and said, you know, they used Hancock County's tourism department as an example.
Yeah, you know, this was done
Well done.
way before I got here, so I just sort of have continued on with what they've done and now looked into stuff.
So Bob, does this help clarify, or is there any other concerns that you're still having going forward?
I'm good, we're still gonna meet, I hope.
Mhm.
Because there's a couple things that they said they need to address. And first is that tourism does not have a right to see the hotel data. That's not correct at all. There was, let me finish please, there was a document that was sent by the state of Indiana to the tourism offices all over the state. There is an agreement that had to be signed between the county treasurer and the treasurer of tourism stating that these individuals within tourism have a right to see that data. Now, we more than anybody here probably understand the sensitivity of that data because it becomes a competition issue if another hotel were to get hold of it. But as the tourism commission, we do have a right to have it. You should have that document. If we don't, we'll definitely bring it to the meeting. For us going forward, I think we very much need to be able to see that data periodically so that we clearly understand what's going on.
Well, we give you every month the total amount. That's public knowledge.
From the hotels.
Well, I was told today by the Internal Revenue that I could not disclose that, and I gave you a code. So I'd like to see your information. I don't want to give out any information. Scott, you may have to help me on this. I don't want to get any information out and then us turn around and being sued, so.
That's fine. I'll
Right.
bring it to you.
We'll bring, you guys, folks can bring that all together when you meet. Yeah,
That's what I said.
Sooner
Yeah.
than later.
yeah,
I completely understand that.
yeah. Sooner versus later, you know, let's not wait till the end of May to get this ball rolling.
Tax time,
Items for the
and
new bond payment.
I really need to get back up there, guys.
Okay.
Just try to chisel out some time for
Yeah.
Bob.
I did, I gave him some dates, and I'm waiting to hear back from him.
Okay, thank you,
You're
Jane,
welcome.
so much. Okay,
Who
it's
would
10
you-
o'clock.
Who would you talk
But
to?
can you ask, Bob, do we know where we're at with the bond? I haven't heard.
No,
anything.
we do know that, I don't know anything as far as where the bond is at this point in time. I'm sure that the efforts being worked on. Bridget has received a call from the actual loan, the loan officer of the bank where the institution is going to do the loan. She received a call from him asking some questions.
Yesterday. Okay,
So
perfect.
things are moving.
Good,
We may look for an update on that.
okay. stuff with you? Robin has hers with her, so.
I don't have mine in front of me. I mean, I can speak to
Yeah,
the assessor.
sure. Which things do you want?
Well, that final type.
That final thing, yeah, I should have it here.
Final type thing.
Yeah, I'll make a copy of it.
Oh, send her here, hang on.
Because, I just should, I didn't even see, is that even one that I have? I guess I just didn't, I didn't.
Is that what you want?
That's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, are we ready? Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming to Budget 2025 101. I guess that's what we'll call it. Mary Bomer is going to take us through the budget preparation process, and then we'll get to the salaries for 2025 after that.
Okay, so, your budget packet, the first page is gonna consist of a description of each of the categories, so that you'll know exactly how to break down your budget between like the ones, twos, threes, and fours. And the second page is probably the meat of it, or the information that everybody is interested in. I will let council members go over the raise portion of it, but the perf rate has stayed the same, so if you do have a budget that you have to pay perf out of, your perf is gonna remain the same at 11.2. Group insurance, we are recommending an 8% increase if you budget for insurance in your funds. And then the FICA and perf has remained the same for quite a while. I also have handouts for budget projection. If anybody's new or they would like a breakdown of exactly how to maneuver around in budget projection, you're welcome to come up and get a copy of that after the meeting, and I'll also email that out. After this meeting, I will be emailing an electronic copy of this budget packet along with the department head signature form, also the 144 that you'll fill out with everybody's name and salary next to it. And I think that's really about it. The due dates are gonna be June 30th, they'll be due in our office, and then the budget hearings.
June 3rd.
June 3rd, sorry. And then the budget hearings will be July 10th, and they will begin at 8 a.m., so it's a half hour earlier than what the council normally starts their meeting at. And I think we're pretty much gonna go by last year's agenda times, unless council would prefer to see the departments in alphabetical order. I think that was mentioned last year.
It certainly is easier if we see them in alphabetical order, but
So it doesn't matter, I haven't set out the agenda and times yet for that meeting, so that's really your preference.
what's your preference?
It doesn't
Could they
matter.
change the,
Doesn't
they
matter.
can put the books in the order of the time, couldn't they?
They can.
They can, that's just a little bit more difficult, and then people come out of
And the tabs are all
schedule.
out of
But
order.
the
Yes.
books-
And we call
the books
them
alphabetical.
earlier.
Right now, the book's alphabetical
Yeah.
makes it easier.
That works better.
So would you prefer the agenda be alphabetical as well?
Yes.
Okay.
I think so.
Okay, we can do that.
You good?
Yeah.
Okay, and now I think I'm gonna hand it back over to council, and
Okay.
they can discuss the raise, and then if anybody has questions, exactly how to calculate that raise or spread that out, they can explain that to you.
This year, we are proposing to everyone a 3.5% increase total personnel services category to your budget. As an elected official or department head, you are allotted the autonomy to go ahead and distribute that however you need amongst your employees. I know we do come back time and again and want to, well, this person needs to be here and this person needs to be here, and this is a perfect time for you to do that in your budget. For department heads and elected officials, that salary increase will be $1,750. The salary committee has worked really hard on this for the last several months and have other proposals, and Mary's gonna walk you through those now.
Okay. As Janine said, across the board for all staff members to be distributed as you see fit. The office head or department elected official is a flat $17.50. We went through, and Robin can pipe into, and actually Deb was part of the salary study committee. One thing that we talked about, and we went department to department, and appreciate so much your returning the questionnaires and your comments on the questionnaires, because we do take all that you say into consideration. Starting with, and this is alphabetical, starting with the assessor's office, we ask that you pull the level pay out of the salary, at least for the calculation for the raise, because what was going on was they were getting a raise on their level pay, and that's not the way the statute reads. So that should be separated out. Community corrections, per the purported amount that was negotiated when the new community corrections director was hired, that salary will be set at $85,000. And I'm not sure what she looks like, so I'm not sure who I'm talking to. Everything else would fall under the 3.5%. The health department, we went over that with Crystal, I think at our last budget meeting, and that will stand as the director, the new title director will come in at the same salary as the elected official or department head, plus the 3.5. The committee also recommended two additional nurses, environmental specialists at $62,000, but those positions would have to be approved by the commissioners. We don't create positions, we just fund them. So that any new additions, that has to be discussed with the commissioners. The courts, we recommended a full-time bailiff that would be shared between two courts.
Circuit and Superior One.
Okay, Circuit Superior One, and that salary would be set at $40,000. The maintenance department, we recommended a salary increase for the well, he's not called the director, what's he called? The department head, at $65,000 plus the $17.50 raise that would go to the department head. The rest of the employees would, well, I guess he doesn't have additional employees, but we recommended the ability to hire a new employee for him at $40,000.
And that $65,000 was for 2024, right?
Yes, yes.
And start that.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
starts
he did
now.
that plus the 1750.
Right.
Probation would follow the state guidelines that's laid out, and anyone else in the office would be at 3.5%. The prosecutor, we went over this with Brent in advance as well. The ability to hire a new prosecutor, deputy prosecutor, and was it paralegal?
Mhm.
Paralegal. And the paralegal salary would be at $45,000, and the deputy prosecutor would be at $80,000. Any additional employees that you want to propose for 2025 will be something, again, you have to talk to the commissioners as to whether or not that they'll fund or approve the hire. The sheriff's department is just an additional jail navigator. We did not put a salary on there, so I would say what you are blending in with your other navigators would be what the appropriate amount should be.
I think it was 68,000 plus benefits, was that what it was, Sheriff?
Yeah,
Somewhere in that range, depending on the level of education.
Yeah.
yeah.
The veterans office, the committee suggested a 3.5% increase with no new position as requested, and that they utilize Cindy Carver, who's in with the auditor's office, to help with some of their clerical needs that they have needed their part-time person for. And that's basically all that the salary committee had recommended to the council, and then anything else that you guys.
We've all, okay. Does anyone have any questions up to this point? Josh?
Yeah,
back in January?
Well, it will start in 2025, so.
Was it on your questionnaire? I would say then we probably just went with a 3.5%. If it's outside.
Well, that's based on the officer's salary schedule, so once you move from officer to supervisor or even farther up, it's dictated by the salary schedule from the state.
And I think that that's what we decided, that if it's something dictated by the state.
Yes.
We
Yeah.
must go with it, yeah.
Yeah.
It just wasn't
Yes.
applied to any person's salary, those.
Right.
Yeah, the
Right.
state guidelines is
Yeah.
what you should follow.
So it should be good.
Right.
Yeah, and we wanna,
And
all of this is recommendations, so,
we want to also address at this point that we are wanting to, we will have a new department formed in Human Resources. And so that will be an entity of its own. And Judge Davis asked that we move behavioral health court into its own budget to provide some simplicity and not moving over services. So I think we've all agreed that that should be happening. And I think there was one more. Maintenance will also become their own standalone department and have their budgets. So for those of you, if you need some additional help, please contact the auditor's office and they'll get you down that path. Yes, ma'am?
I just have one comment, that I hope to see the, state legislatures correct. The auditor is already aware of this, but when I went to the recorders conference, the State Board of Accounts dropped a bomb on us and said that the, copy fees that the recorder's office collects is supposed to be going to county general. And of course, there was a huge uproar.
yeah,
Oh, I'll bet there was.
Oh, yeah.
Because budgets were already set, salaries were already being taken out, et cetera. So State Board of Accounts gave us a grace period of January 1, before we have to take any kind of action. So the legislative committee for the recorders, have gone back to the, it all kind of happened when the flat fees occurred in 2018. So they went back to the original statute prior to that to kind of prove our point as to why the fees are going currently where they're supposed to go. And then we are going to ask a legislator to append that as a corrective piece, probably to like a DLGF bill or something like that. However, I felt it would be wrong of me not to at least advise council that if for some reason State Board of Accounts doesn't change their attitude of this, or if for some reason legislatures don't vote to append and correct this, that means a good portion of my salaries would then need to be paid out of county general. Last year, we collected in copy fees about $130,000, which is essentially 3 employees. So, I do feel very confident that the Recorders Association will get this corrected and appended to a DLGF bill. But I felt would be negligent of me not to at least bring this to your attention, that there's this slight possibility that we would have to, shift funding for recorder staff. But at this point, don't you worry about it, I plan on submitting my budget as normal with paying for the, out of the restoration.
Thank you for the heads up. That could be,
But there's always that, if you didn't say something, then something comes back and bites you. So I just
Exactly.
wanted to let you know, there's this
I-
possibility,
Right.
but we are very confident that.
I was gonna say, Marcia, I worked in the recorder's office many, many moons ago, so I really understand this. And how in the world did they think you were gonna fund your budget by
Well,
doing
and
this?
that's exactly what we said at the conference when they wanted us to change it immediately. We were like, whoa, wait a minute.
Yeah, somebody didn't know what they were doing, I would
Yeah,
say.
so, like I said, I feel, I'm on the legislative committee for the Recorders Association. So I'm very confident that we are going to get this corrected.
I hope so.
Especially because we look back at the original wording in the original bill and the, code prior to. And so we feel it's just a matter of correction, and that it should be resolved. But I felt very strongly that I need to at least
Thank you so much. Also, another item that we will need to address, and that is, there'll be some state mandates on our public defender's office coming, that's all right, coming soon, meeting on May 13th. And Mary No and I are going to attend that meeting together to hear firsthand what those mandates will be and how they'll reflect the budget for them going forward.
In regards to any requests we made for our staff, like the judges got together about our court reporters, we're not doing anything with that, other than the 3.5, we can decide what to do.
I think, didn't we decide, Mary, that you should just bring that to the whole council and make your request to the whole council rather than us deciding anything?
Fair enough, that's what we're
Yeah.
thank you.
All right. Auditor's office, do you have anything to add? Greg,
I think
you have
Rick
any?
does, and I think the sheriff has something. I do wanna just say, if you need any help filling out your budget projections, the Mary or myself can come and go over that with you, so don't want anybody to stress. And if you do have, a budget that's outside of like your location, if you're trying to enter, I think maybe the highway has some, we kind of got that locked down pretty tight, so we may have to assist you with that, or we'll open it up for a brief moment, so that no one can get in accidentally and do something. We had some issues last year, so we're gonna be pretty tight on that, authorizing some additional users in someone else's budget. So,
Perfect.
Madam President, maybe just a couple general comments.
Absolutely.
Hi, I'm Greg Garris, I was financial advisor to the county. I think the important point for every department head to understand is the county council has a joint session every month to manage this budget. And, you know, I like to say this is $100 million budget or $100 million business. And so they do a real good job of managing the budget, not only the 24, but the coming 25 budget, each and every month. So the council's really on it and should be applauded, because there's a lot of people that don't even start looking at budgets, either prior or current, until mid-July. So that's important for everybody to know. The state has capped our growth quotient for property taxes at 4%. Last year, or last month, there was a lot of misinformation out there about how much property taxes went up. And even I've had several people call me and say that 17% that showed up in the newspapers statewide was not a reality in a lot of places. So keep in mind, property taxes are capped at 4% again for 2025. Income taxes were doing very well. This county's doing very well. And so, but miscellaneous income is coming down. The challenges are, there's no doubt about it. Number one challenge is healthcare costs. And we believe even the 8% won't be enough. But I spoke about this several years ago, where the hospital said all that increased cost will work its way in the costing formula, and it'll cost us all in the future. And here it comes. So we are really concerned. We're already pulling money out of the reserve to shore it up this year. So that's one of the biggest things, is staying in front of the healthcare costs. And so that has a direct impact then on the total compensation that we utilize. So all in all, though, again, Hancock County with its positive growth in jobs and things like that is really paying dividends, and we see that building more in the future and kind of putting what I believe Hancock in a very good position. Because believe me, I've got some counties that their ship is sinking faster than they can plug. And so it makes it kind of tough, and especially when you're outside of the city, of the metropolitan area and stuff. So anything else you would like me to, so, you know, meeting the healthcare needs, meeting the increased cost, that inflation, meeting some of the additional hires and things like that, with the limited additional incremental, we talk about incremental resources, Kent and I arm wrestle over that every month. And so, with the limited incremental increases in revenue, we gotta keep the incremental increases in expense not outweighing that. Otherwise, cash balances become depleted and they are projected to go down to some degree.
I'd like to say on the healthcare issue, okay, so a few years ago, we were faced with the same scenario, and the commissioners talked about changing healthcare benefits. And that didn't come to fruition. We got past that. But not in this budget coming, but in future budgets, we might be faced with that again. It's coming on so hard that it could take all the raises, it could take all the extra money we have, period, for all the new hires, for anything, if we let it. And so that's the only thing in my thing in the future, because I've been here long enough to see we had a scare 4 or 5 years ago. We're gonna have another scare probably going into 26. So.
And keep in mind, the council had planned, we've been planning for that scare, and we've been building a insurance reserve fund to try and buffer some of it. And I think it's 2 or 3 million, it was 3 million, but we pulled some out, and that only lasts so long. But it's not like we didn't project it coming. And again, we're trying to run this really large business as best we can as a team. And the team includes you all.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions?
More briefly, on the 3.5% raise, is that per employee or is that across the?
It's, an example would be is if you have 5 employees, it would be the 3.5% calculated on those 5 employees' current base salary, and you'll receive it as a lump, and you can disperse it any way you want.
Okay. Sheriff?
In the back.
You in the back.
So on the agenda piece, since I have about 30 budgets, I get stuck in the middle somewhere. And usually the judges are behind me, and I have enough time to keep the judges, not mad at me for some reason. So, is there a way to put me maybe at the end? Is
Sure.
that so many?
Yeah.
Sure.
That way I don't have to come backing up behind me.
He thinks we'll be tired and give him whatever.
Yeah, he thinks it'll be easy at the
Oh,
end.
see, it's 6 p.m.
Yeah.
Or before lunch, because we'll be hungry.
Yeah. No, yeah, I think if we put the sheriff as the final,
Yeah.
program, we'll probably be doing ourselves a favor, and everybody else in this room too. So, thank you, Sheriff. Anyone else? Thank you all so much.
Thank you for coming.
See you in July, if not before.
Yeah.
We're trying to lay the groundwork that benefits may change.
That was a good idea.
I said, well, you're going.
I know, but in
And
26,
we'll
we
blame it on the commission.
got to be realistic about it.
You do. We're gonna be in a minute. You need something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're still
That's a
meeting.
benefit change.
Oh,
In my-
step on
Yeah,
up.
when they always.
We're still in business.
Yeah, sure.
Right.
We have an addition at the end of our, Scott's gonna give us an update.
Your band.
So,
Something in 26.
You may need to move your microphone.
in my consulting fee, is this on?
Yeah. Well,
Okay. So I have a budget for consulting fees, for my commercial projects, the plan review fees that I send out to my third party. I'm not gonna need all that this year. It was 35,000. But what I've been doing, I mentioned to you guys before that I'm writing a new countywide fire ordinance. And then I'm gonna update the building department ordinance. And you had said before that whenever the bills come due, maybe just come back to you instead of trying to have a separate line item.
Right.
What I've been doing, the bills have been trickling in for my consultant. So I've been paying it out of that fund that I use for the plan review fees. So I just wanna make sure.
Excuse me, we're having difficulty hearing.
So I just wanna make sure that's okay to continue doing that.
I would assume that that's okay.
We didn't hear any.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm sorry, Scott.
You've
Pull
been
that mic up a
paying it
little
out
bit.
of planning, out of something different.
I'm sorry?
You've been paying
Consultant fees.
consultant fees
out of what?
out of planning fees.
Out of plan review fees.
I think just to
Is
be.
it the same category?
So what I tried to do last year was put in my budget for writing these ordinances. And at the time last year, it was recommended that I would just come back and ask for an additional appropriation. But what I'm doing is since my plan review fees out of that 35,000 has really dropped because the big commercial projects aren't coming through. I've been using that line item for my ordinances.
So you haven't been transferring that money out to
So
an
you didn't do
appropriate line?
a budget transfer?
Yeah, I think what you probably need to do,
Yes.
and for transparency
Mhm.
purposes, is create
Yeah.
a line item that's more specific to what you're using, and then take an appropriate amount from your consulting
Right.
fee line item and move it into the line item that
Okay.
you create
Yeah.
for.
Just do a transfer.
Yeah, and
So,
Mary,
so I need to make a
Yeah.
new line item?
Yeah, and I think we'll
'Cause I
pull
did have
a
one.
expenditure, just to make sure we don't need to do any adjustments for
Yeah.
something he's already done.
Okay, so I should get with Mary?
Yes, I
Yes.
would do.
Okay,
Then she'll let you know.
And then we'll come to you with any additional appropriations or budget
Right.
transfers, or anything that we might need to do.
When,
Yeah.
when he gets that created, can he go back to the fees that he's paid and
Yeah.
somehow
Yeah, you
that's what
can
we said
move
we
them.
do.
retrofit it back in?
Yeah,
so
you
that
can
we
move them, you can fix it.
corrections?
And
Okay.
it may not,
can
because
fix
I'm not sure
anything.
what, if you're a one and a one, I'm not
They
sure
may be
what-
similar expenses.
Yeah.
right.
But we'll double check for you, and make sure we get it.
Yeah,
Okay.
it could be, yeah, that it's
Corrected,
allowable,
anything moving
but
forward.
It could be
depends how
allowed.
close it is.
If
Yeah,
it's not just
because
corrected.
maybe I assumed wrong, but I thought my consultant, when we were done, would get one bill. But it's coming in, trickling in
pay as it
Yeah.
goes,
as it goes.
Yeah.
It's
So,
not a perfect one.
yeah, that's why.
that's probably best, then it gives you a better picture of how much it's gonna cost you
Right.
overall.
Right,
Yeah,
so,
Yeah, it's a cleaner way of doing it. you
okay.
know.
yeah.
All right, well, I'll get with Mary then,
Just a
get it
little
straightened out.
bookkeeping for
Thank you,
them.
Scott.
All right, thank you.
Debbie and Mary can do that. They
Motion
can
to
fix it.
adjourn? Anyone?
I make a motion.
Does
to
anybody
adjourn.
have
Second.
anything?
It's been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion
Something.
carries. It was.
That wasn't so bad.
Hi, all.
Hello.